Other than our tool training in Tuscaloosa, two of our more hands-on trainings were for chainsaw use and using PPE for hazardous materials. Chainsaw training started with one of our unit leaders saying he would buy us all donuts if someone could unravel the chain in less than 60 seconds. Patrick, the guy doing the unraveling, ended up doing it in 24 seconds, so the unit leader did buy us donuts on the day of our hands-on training. Our chainsaw training consisted of 3 different parts, so we started with a safety lesson about the chainsaw where we took apart the different pieces and learned what each purpose was. We all paired off for this initial session, so me, Matt, and Sophia worked together. Sophia had already done a lot of work with chainsaws, so it was all new to me and Matt. But it was nice to have an NCCC alum with us to help us learn the things the correct way. Our second part of the training was out in the National Military Park here in Vicksburg. We all wore our chaps, our hard hats, and then ear and eye protection, all the proper PPE for chainsawing. We learned how to put fuel and oil into the chainsaws and how to check that they're running properly with the correct amount of fluids. When we tried starting the chainsaw that me and my group were going to use, it decided not to start, and we had a very tough time doing it. I pulled on the starter cord for a solid minute and asked for help from one of the adults before the second adult came over, pulled on it once, and it worked perfectly, so we're not sure what happened with our chainsaw.
We haven't poked it since the first time. I don't want to flood it, but you got grants up there? You didn't record that. See, you got it ready. Oh, look it up. I don't know.
The Parks Department had a few different areas that they wanted us to help clear, so we started in one area with smaller, brush areas that needed old twigs and dead trees to be cut down. We were mostly clearing them away from the street and where people walk around, just to make the park look nicer. We were also able to cut down some small trees that were blocking people's paths, as well as ones that were going to fall in the near future to take safety precautions. The unit leader who promised us donuts did follow through and brought us them to eat while we took water breaks. Also, a butterfly landed on my friend Madeline's head and hung out with her the whole time she was chainsawing, which was pretty cool. We got to test out all our new skills while we were in the park, so we got to chop down not only brush and small twigs, but also large fallen logs that needed to be cleared from the area. We had to refuel a couple of the saws during the day because we were doing so much work, and we got to watch Phil, one of the returners who was on a forest team last year, fell a tree that was about to fall onto the road. We then moved to another part of the park and continued to cut down brush and some overgrown weeds and bushes from the sight line of the monuments to try to clean up the park and make it look more presentable. I can definitely say that my least favorite part of the training was watching all the big bugs that came out of the bushes when we sawed them down, such as giant spiders and other creepy crawly things. Just to emphasize how hot it was in the park that day, look at my legs when I took my chaps off. The front of my legs are a different color from the back because the sweat soaked through my khakis. Chainsaw training ended with how to clean and maintain the machines for long-term use. For our hazardous materials practicum, they made it very clear that AmeriCorps members may work with lead or mold and rarely asbestos, but no more hazardous materials than that. We were fortunate to find a local sponsor who could use our help while we learned how to use the proper PPE, so we went to the United Way in Vicksburg, Mississippi. We were able to help them, as well as the Good Shepherd Community Center, clear out some of their old trash that has grown mold on it from recent floods. I don't have much footage of myself or others doing actual work because we are covered in so much PPE that I couldn't have my phone out with me. It was really helpful practice in getting to know how to use the materials and the processes that we'd be going through to get on the materials and take them off after they were contaminated. The group of team leaders split in half, so there were about 15 people who stayed with the United Way and 15 people who went to the Good Shepherd Community Center. I was part of the group that went to the other place, so we had to get in our van and drive over there, all dressed up in our PPE. It was definitely nice out that it was a cooler day out. I think it was high 80s instead of in the 90s or 100s, but it was pouring, so it was super humid out. The whole thing kind of felt like a scene out of Monsters, Inc. when the monster is contaminated by the child's sock. While the training helped the team leaders a lot, it was nice seeing that we did a lot of heavy lifting and dirty work for the sponsors, clearing out all of their old stuff from storage. At one point, I got to use a sledgehammer to help break up a moldy cabinet to throw in the dumpster, and that was super fun. I thought the sweat under my chaps during chainsaw training was bad, but it was nothing compared to the sweat under the Tyvek suit during hazmat training. Since we were covered in plastic, it was so gross. United Way and the other sponsor did provide us lunch while we were there after we unsuited, which was really nice because we didn't have to cook for ourselves, and also it was a salad bar, so we got really fresh foods. These were two of the more hands-on trainings, so it was a lot of fun to get out and do things rather than just sit and listen to PowerPoint lectures. But overall, trainings have been really nice, and I'm excited to be in the field soon.